If you love shmups and beat 'em ups, I got the cabinet for you. We're gonna do one last iiRcade Gen 1 Candy Cap style review. Let's get to it. So let's talk about the quality of this cabinet first. So we're going to start by talking about the control deck. Alright, so I want to talk real quick about this control deck. Take a look at this. Look at how nice this is, right? And obviously we got our connections and the HDMI and all that stuff that's inside the cabinet. And you can see inside, very neat, very orderly. Looks like there's enough room if I wanted to put HAP competition buttons in here. I could, if I really wanted to, which is really cool. I didn't realize there was that much gap the last time I had an iiRcade because I didn't really look. But these buttons are Sanwa clones. This is a Sanwa stick. And when I use it, I could tell it's a Sanwa. I know 100% it's a Sanwa stick because I know what a Sanwa stick feels like. I got a Sanwa stick right here. And this is what the inside of a Sanwa stick looks like. And you could take this little this off here, and you could take this shaft out, and you can see the spring. And so this one here, I could tell I have a thicker spring than what's in here, and I would prefer these have a better spring. I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy they're Sanwa. That's awesome, especially for what I paid for this retro mania. I cannot complain. At some point, will I put a stronger spring in it? Yes, I will, because it's just a loose, and that's typical of Sanwa sticks. They come with a spring that's, I don't like it. It doesn't have enough feedback. The buttons, these are Sanwa clone buttons, and you can tell they look kind of Sanwa-y, but it's got a bit of a click, right? So like here, I have a real Sanwa button. This is an authentic Sanwa button. Obviously I need to fix the little bends there, but you can tell the iiRcade one has a little bit more pushback. Now there's no micro switches on these, okay? So it doesn't quite have the feel of what these are HAP competition buttons. You can tell I have cherry micro switches on these. This deck was from Bobby Vu, okay? It's a custom Street Fighter deck, but these are IL Euro stick. These are what you see in American arcades and a lot of arcades. However, I think with the iiRcade, using Sanwa was the way to go, just for the sheer amount of different games they have. This type Sanwa joystick type was definitely the way they should have gone. So I think it was a very good choice, and it's what I want to keep in this cabinet. And these buttons, I prefer these buttons to the real Sanwa. I know Papa Brad likes the real Sanwa, but these here, I like a little bit more feedback. My favorite buttons are HAP Comp, but I don't know. I don't think I'm going to change it because Glenn's deck's coming. And these buttons are awesome. They're way better than these buttons. This is an Arcade 1-Up button. This, listen to it. Listen to this. Okay? So I want to talk about the height of the control deck. So the first thing I want to let you know is the iiRcade control deck height is at 41 inches. So it's got a really nice height for me to stand at the iiRcade or sit on one of those Arcade 1-Up stools I have. And it's comfortable either way. It's a great view of the screen. I don't notice any issues with any sort of angles or anything like that as long as I'm standing or sitting on the stool. Okay? And we'll talk more about the screen later, but that works as far as the height. I think it's ideal for me. I'm 5'11" for reference. Okay. Now let's compare that to the Big Blue. This thing angled downwards. So if you measure it at its lowest point, it's very uncomfortable to play standing up. It's at 35 inches. Okay. I'm not a fan of the height of it. Now I could put a little bit more of a riser on that cabinet to get a little bit higher. But I definitely recommend sitting down to play that cabinet. And I actually play the Street Fighter cabinet as is without any sort of extra riser with my office chair. That's how low the deck is, which is fine. It's comfortable to sit in my office chair. And, you know, but I just wanted to compare. Now, I do have a Yoga Flame cabinet. That's the Midway style cabinet that I'm converting over to a Killer Instinct. And you'll see here, this is a little bit taller. This is at 38 inches. This one is a pretty good height. I'm going to guess that that's probably standard arcade height. But, of course, they're going to vary much the same. But as far as the height of the cabinets that I give examples of here, the iiRcade definitely has the best control deck height. So I think Arcade 1-Up and iiRcade are two completely different products, and they don't really compete with each other, although people make them want to be. But I just wanted to show the quality of the components. So that's why I kind of went there and broke it down, and I will continue to break it down here with the speakers. I mean, look at this. Well, let me show you what is in some of these other cabinets I have, these Arcade 1-Ups. Look at that. No, that's not an amp or anything like that. Look at these things. They're not, I mean, they're low-end speakers. Very low-end. Now, I'm not going to claim that the iiRcade has the best speakers in the world, but as far as any home arcade cabinet that I've owned, it's been by far the best, the stock speakers that came with it. I've had several Arcade 1-Ups. I'm pretty sure they're all the same crappy speaker. I've had an MVSX. When I had it, I definitely wanted to upgrade the speakers. Never did. So as far as the speakers goes, as far as I'm concerned, whether it's the Gen 1 candy cap style iiRcade or the gold cabinet, I believe they have the best speakers in the business. Now, granted, I think there's some Yamaha speakers in the Killer Instinct Pro cabinet. I haven't experienced them, so I can't really speak to those. I'm sure they're a pretty good speaker, but as far as what I've experienced, these speakers are pretty damn good. Makes the gaming experience pretty enjoyable, especially when you get a good shooter or a good game that has a great audio track. I do want to show the back of this cabinet. Obviously, you could tell. Nice. Much nicer than some other products out there. Nice colors in the back. It's just black, basic black. And then it's got a separate entry point for the speakers and a separate entry point for the access to the HDMI and things like that. So pretty nice. Nice big screws. Okay, so we're going to close out on the quality, the design, that type of thing here as far as the iiRcade is concerned. The one thing I've not addressed yet is the screen. It's got a 19-inch monitor standard. Whether you got the basic iiRcade, the iiRcade Gold, the iiRcade SanWow 128 edition, whatever you got, you're getting that 19-inch screen. So, how's that 19-inch screen perform? Well, if you have it as a full-size arcade or a full-size 3/4 or whatever you want to call it, it's on its big riser, right? The bar top is on the riser. Here it is behind me. If I have it like that and I sit on a Arcade 1-Up stool or I stand up, this thing looks fine. The 19-inch monitor is fantastic. You got that bigger screen. You got a great experience. Now, if I'm sitting in this office chair and I turn around right now, of course it's a little high. The deck's a little high sitting down in an office chair, you know, so that's not ideal. But I could play like that just fine. Well, I can't because the angle of the screen is not good, right? different angles. It's not as good as others. So I do like that it's a 19-inch screen. I don't think I would change it to like a 17-inch BOE like you see in most of the arcade one-ups, except Mortal Kombat Gold, or not Gold, Mortal Kombat 1 30th anniversary or whatever it is. But I think the screen does the job. I think it's definitely important on this multicade to have the 19-inch screen. It gives it an advantage. So although I consider it its weakest point as far as components and design, I don't think I would have changed it if it meant having to go with a smaller screen. So that being said, like I said, works fine standing up or sitting on an arcade one-up stool if I have the arcade fully built. If I had it as a bar top, you really want it to be at the ideal height so that your eyes could see the screen. And it works out well, okay? All things considered, again, screen was a good choice. Now, I do have the glass screen protector on it, which I didn't think would make much of a difference, okay? It's like $50 from iiRcade on their website, but it looks so much better. So I highly recommend the glass screen protector versus the included plexiglass or whatever it was. The glass is definitely a lot better. Okay. Now, I didn't talk yet about the assembly of the unit. The assembly of this unit is unmatched. One of my biggest frustrations building an arcade one-up is those cheap little wooden dowel rods that just, I have them break so many times at me, sometimes just in between my fingers. They're a very cheap product, those little dowel rods. The iiRcade uses a strong metal screw, and let me show you what those look like. So show you the quality, and then yeah, I'll also show you the screw that goes the other end, that connects the other end of the cabinet to that metal screw. I just wanted to show real quick, instead of those wooden pegs, look at that. Look at that. It's a wood or a metal screw that it connects to. So much better. See, they catch in these metal, screws, circular things, whatever you want to call them. So much better quality than what you get with Arcade 1-Up. So, assembly, the assembly of this thing I gotta give, the high props to, because I enjoyed it a lot better. It's never enjoyable to build a cabinet, but it was more tolerable. The engineering of this cabinet is very well designed. It was very well thought out. It was very well planned. You could tell that when they designed this product, they put a lot of love and attention into it, and that is what makes it the strongest aspect of the iiRcade. I'm good with the candy cab style design of this Gen 1 because I have 100 games on this thing. You go to an arcade, there's a lot of different arcades, like Pac-Man, Street Fighter, Dig Dug, whatever, and you get the cabinet art and all that stuff that it used to have. But there's always a candy cab, and there's a candy cab with a bunch of games on it, or a candy cab with some fighting games on it that link together. And a candy cab is an important aspect of an arcade, and a candy cab is a multicade. It's almost like it's a supplemental arcade to make up for the titles that the arcade doesn't have otherwise. And so I say that this fits what the iiRcade is. It's got a library full of deep cuts. It has some really good deep cuts. It's got a handful of arcade classics. And it's got some modern retro games, right? Let's just be real, right? So a candy cab style design fits what the iiRcade is. I love the design of it. I honestly think it fits very well. I'd rather have a candy cab's design with no marquee than I would a crappy marquee. Okay? And, with some other products, you don't know what you're going to get, whether it's going to be good this time or bad this time or whatever. Now, the only thing I would say is it would have been cool to light up that little like Retromania sign there in the middle in between the speakers. That would have been really cool, but the problem is the amp is there for the speakers. Would there have been a way to reroute the amp? I don't know, but that would have been really cool, right? That would have been a plus. And actually, I think that's all they needed to do with their second gen of cabinets. They could have left the cabinet mainly alone and made that light up. I think it would have made people a lot happier. But the gold cab, obviously, you get the full nice marquee, the better sound system. You know, I'm not gonna get into it because I don't have one, but I have played it, and it's a nice premium product. And I will link my gold cab video from when I was at iiRcade headquarters in the video description. So back to this here, though. Overall, all things considered, the quality of this product, the materials used. Oh, also the artwork is very glossy. It looks great. It's very well designed. It's got a modern retro flair to it. Whether you have the Retromania or the Dragon's Lair or the Space Ace or the Space Invaders or what have you, I would give this and I would give this thing a 9 out of 10. A 9 out of 10. And it's the one point I'm going to knock it at was the screen, like I said. Very well thought out, very well planned. And this is definitely the iiRcade's strongest category, right? Because this next category, it ain't pretty. Let's get into the UI interface. So I want to give an example here of a good UI. This is Arcade1Up's user interface. You could tell that you could cycle through the games. They look really good. They have a nice logo. They have settings. They have leaderboards right there on the screen for you to see as I scroll through these titles. This is just done very well. It's very simple for people that just want to get on the arcade and play games. And it cycles through very easily and obviously highlights the leaderboards. Okay, so here you can see the iiRcade's user interface. This is the same UI on the gold or the standard iiRcade. Now granted, I could break it down into different sections, but look at how I scroll through these games. And it gets so annoying hearing that little clicking every single game. I don't know why that is, but I don't like it. There could be much easier ways to do this. Now, if they did organize it by section, a category, a game, and then do much like Arcade1Up did in their user interface, it'd be a heck of a lot better. This user interface is terrible. Like, my 12-year-old son came upstairs to play Mayhem Brawler with me the other day as I was talking about Mayhem Brawler in a previous video. And the first thing he said is, he goes, "This UI is bullcrap. It's terrible." Even my 12-year-old son knows that, and I'm pretty sure if he was 8 years old, it would have made the difference. The UI is not good. They said they were going to work on a new UI. Now it sounds like they're not. So I think the iiRcade is going to go down as having a pretty embarrassing user interface. If I was to rate this thing, I'm going to give it probably like a 2 out of 10. It's functional. It's slightly above the frustrations I get when I play something like straight RetroArch. But it's just not conducive to the convenience of what you want and expect from a home arcade. Okay, so the next aspect of things we need to talk about is the iiRcade game store. Okay, this is the only way that I could access the iiRcade game store. I am an iPhone user. There's an app that you could get if you are an Android user. So I access this website through my iPhone or through my PC. And so when I do that, I could see the games that are featured here. These are the games that they're saying are featured. These are games that they think are good choices. Whether I own them already or not. And so far I own every single one of these titles in the featured row except for one. For reference, I don't own Alien Storm yet, but I probably should buy it. Recent games that just came out, their top downloads, which they are, for this month, these are the games that are being downloaded the most. And then, by category, okay, you want online games, or you want action games, or puzzle, or adventure, or whatever, right? So it organizes it, and that's okay. It works out okay, works fine. I could search for a title that's not, I don't see right now on screen. I like Twin Cobra a lot, so there you go. I searched for Twin Cobra. I found Twin Cobra. I could now click on it. It's going to tell me that I already own it, most likely. See, I purchased Twin Cobra. So, and it tells me its rank as far as sales. It's the 176th of all time in sales, which tells me a lot of people that have the iiRcade don't have this title. This is a good title. I would get Twin Cobra if you don't have Twin Cobra, especially when it's on sale. Anyway, so it's functional. So the other thing is, like, it'll automatically send these games to your machine when you purchase them, but you could pick and choose what games go to your machine. So in there, there's an option to filter what's on your machine and what's not, if you go to the little options thing in the upper left corner. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to show my personal information. But it's there. It's simple. The store is completely functional. I wish that it was on the iiRcade itself, much like a PlayStation or an Xbox. If that's something they cannot do, is the website functional? Yes, it works. I'd be okay with that as long as they updated the user interface. If they could do both, that would be amazing. But that is a lot of resources, time, and money. So if I was going to do one thing, I would update the UI. The purchasing of a game experience, I'm going to rate a 6 out of 10 from their web store. Again, the user interface is basically a 2 out of 10. It's really bad. Now it's time to get into the games, what many people consider to be the most important part, because if you don't have games to play, why would you enjoy the product, right? So the games on the iiRcade are a mixed bag. They're all over the place. You got some categories that I would say are a strong point for the iiRcade, and you have some categories that are a severe weak point for the iiRcade. So the iiRcade brands itself as an arcade console, and a console is known for having many types of different games, of all sorts of categories, all sorts of platforms. So, if we grade it like that, it's going to be difficult, okay? I'm not going to lie. Now, if we grade it on different levels, like say we grade it compared to maybe a legacy cabinet, an Arcade 1-Up legacy cabinet, or we grade it based on a certain category that's its strong point, right? There's different things to consider here, right? And I don't want to break down every single game that's on this cabinet because this video is already at 20 plus minutes and it'd be even longer. So I'm going to start with the strengths and go down to the weaknesses. The number one library strength of the iiRcade is its shmups. If you are a shmup junkie, and if you haven't subscribed to that guy's channel, you really need to go to Shmup Junkie, because that guy's channel is amazing, especially if you enjoy shoot 'em ups or shmups, or you just want to learn about them, okay? I have 31 shmups on the iiRcade. That is my largest category. I enjoy playing shmups. I'm not necessarily good. I'm getting a lot better. I would honestly, as far as arcades go, I almost say that they're my second favorite. I mean, fighting games are my favorite. And we're going to get into fighting games because it ain't pretty. But the shmup library on this, they got some heavy hitters. Let me talk real briefly about the kind of shmups they have on here. Toaplan shooters. This is a heavy hitter in shmups. A lot of shmups that we've seen even after that wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for Toplin shooters. Truxton, Batsugan, Twin Cobra, Tiger Heli, Flying Shark, Fire Shark, and then running guns like Outzone and Fixiate. These are great arcade classics. They're here on the iiRcade and among the strongest of the shmups. We also got Sikyo. So we got some great games like Strikers 1945 Plus, Samurai Aces, Tengai. These are great shooters, a great shmup company. And then we got Visco, a lot of shooters from the Neo Geo. Captain Tomade, for example, is a nice, fun shooter. We got some amazing shooters from IRIM. We got the R-Type series, R-Type 1, R-Type 2, R-Type Leo. We have Dragon Breed, some great stuff from IRIM. We have some Data East shooters. We have Jellicoe shooters like Saint Dragon, as well as Earth Defense Force. The shooters just keep coming and coming with the iiRcade. And as such, I have to give the shooter library on the iiRcade, one that I have 31 games for on, of my like 107 games, a 9 out of 10. Shmups that are 9 out of 10. If you love shmups, this is what you want. This machine right here. Now, something to keep in mind. There's some people that are like, oh, well, actually, there's one. His name is Kong's RS. He goes, well, I really would like the Raiden series. Well, the Raiden series, from what I've been told, Arcade One bought the license to Raiden, but they're never going to release it because there's just no money there. Maybe they will as a limited edition or a countercade. I don't know. But that's why he keeps bringing that up. I don't think it needs it because there's already an amazing shooter library. The last thing that... Well, I shouldn't say the last thing. I'll always take more shmups. I love shmups. Bring more shmups. But we don't have to have every shmup. If you were going to focus on licensing, I would look for some stuff outside of shmups first, because the shmup library is top tier. I want to talk real quick about the racing category. They have some old like Neo Geo classics like Neo Drift Out, or Neo, what is it called? Neo Drift Out. That is what it's called. I'm not a fan of those types of games. There's a retro highway game. I haven't tried it. It looks kind of like Hang On or whatnot. I think there was some coin catching or something in there I didn't like, but I might buy it and try it on sale at some point. I don't know. Riptide Renegade is a great jet ski game. I love that game, and it plays up to 8 players online, and it really adds to the iiRcade's online presence. Cisco Heat's okay. Beach Buggy Racing, Mario Kart knockoff. World Rally is very similar to Neo Drift Out as far as the way the game plays. So racing category, it's not excellent. I wouldn't even give it a C. It's probably like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. It's definitely not a strong point. Puzzles is very similar. I'd probably score it about the same. It does have Magical Drop 3 and Magical Drop 2 and Magical Drop 1. They're all good. But Magical Drop 3 is the one they have that's online. That game is a great puzzle game. I would rank it up there with a Puzzle Fighter as far as equal in enjoyment. There's definitely some opportunities on the puzzle games, especially with the licensing with Taito or Taito. I'm not, so puzzle games I'm going to put in the same category as racing games, about the same score there. Let's talk about fighting games. We all know that I love my fighting games, but the iiRcade is my escape from fighting games, okay? It's my let go and don't play fighting games for the most part cabinet. I think that Breaker's Revenge is a fun game. I do also like Rage of the Dragons. I know there's some cult classics on here that a lot of people, have fond memories of playing and things like that, but really aren't that good. They're definitely laundromat games. That being Bloodstorm and Time Killers. which at the time, the filming of this, you can get for $5 each, which is a good deal. So if you want them in your library, get them. And if you have that like memory, that nostalgia, you know, Battle K Road, I've played that game. It's funny. It's so bad that it's fun because it's so bad. Karate Champ is an arcade classic. I will give it that. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fighting games in total. Two of them are high average, you know, like maybe like a 7.8 or an 8 out of 10. And the rest of them are 5 or below. Well, Karate Champ, maybe not. Karate Champ's, I almost want to put Karate Champ in a different category, like Arcade Classic. But the fighting game library on this cabinet is horrid. It's absolutely terrible. And when you're talking about console gaming, the selection's just not there. It's unacceptable, to be honest. It's bad. I would give it, because I'm only going to give it a score that's higher than 0 because they do have Breaker's Revenge and they do have Rage of the Dragons. Those are good games. And if I rated them separately, they would score much higher than this. But I have to look at the library as a whole. So the fighting game library on the iiRcade is a 2 out of 10 at best. You can't really argue against it. All right, so now let's talk about the sports selection on the iiRcade. Sports games, sports arcade games, things like that. And this is looking way up from the fighting games because there's actually some stuff here that is enjoyable to play. We've got, you know, 10-Yard Fight gets a bad rap. A lot of people are like, oh, that's not NFL Blitz, that's not Tecmo. But like, there would be, those games would not exist if it was not for 10-Yard Fight. 10-Yard Fight is a classic. I have a lot of fun playing it. I wouldn't say I enjoy it as much as playing NFL Blitz, but it's a good game. It's arcade history. It is definitely a welcome addition here, especially for whatever. They're charging $5.99 for it right now on sale. So, you know, it's worth that. Best Bout Boxing by Jalico. This actually plays really good. I enjoy it. I think it has a similar feel to the Evander Holyfield game that they made on Sega Genesis. It is a good one. Goal, Goal, Goal is a great arcade soccer game. It was on the Neo Geo MVS system. It is a lot of fun. It plays online. I'd say it is definitely a must-have on this cabinet. Heavy Smash. A lot of people are loving Heavy Smash. I don't think that's a real sport, but it's a fun game, especially to play with others in the community. I'd say it's definitely a welcome addition. Major Title 2 Golf by iiRcade. This is one of my most played games on the iiRcade. I absolutely love arcade golf like this. I'm not the Golden Tee person. That's not me. I actually like Neo Turf Masters and Major Title 2 better than Golden Tee. Me. Okay, that's just my opinion. Other people are going to say Golden Tee all day long. But basically this. Major Title 2 is a prequel. It's basically the same people that worked on Neo Turf Masters. This was their first entry. And then they left iiRcade, went to Nazca. So if you like Neo Turf Masters, I feel you will like Major Title 2. Some people, you know, they just want to play Neo Turf Masters all day long. I get it. It's a little bit updated. But Major Title 2 definitely has more challenging putting than Neo Turf Masters. For me, I could play either game. I enjoy both of them. Major Title 2 is a great addition. If you have an iiRcade, I recommend buying it. There's Squash. Some people have been playing that. I haven't heard anything bad about it. Stadium Hero 96. A lot of people love that. It's like an arcade baseball type game. I believe it's by Data East. It's pretty good. We have Windjammers. Everybody knows Windjammers. It's a classic. Must buy, must have Windjammers if you have an iiRcade. There's different wrestling games, Mat Mania, all the precursors to WrestleFest. Obviously, we got Retromania Wrestling, which is a true sequel to WrestleFest. The company that made Retromania Wrestling actually bought the licensing. So basically that's what it is. It's a sequel, although it is more independent wrestlers. There are still some big names in it, like the Legion of Doom, Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. A great game. Obviously it's what this cabinet is. It's a lot of fun. This is the best version of the game because you actually get the true aspect ratio that you would have had in WrestleFest. It just looks better than the console versions. I enjoy it most on the iiRcade, so I will give props where props is due. Overall, I think that the sports game on this system are pretty good. They're not as high as the shooters by any means. There's not anywhere near as large of a selection. I think, I think it's slightly above a 7. It's not quite at an 8. It's close. I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10. Sports category. Final answer. Okay, so they have this arcade category. I think it's a mess. Okay, we're gonna summarize this a little bit differently. I'm gonna talk about arcade titles, classic arcade titles, and we'll talk about modern retro games. So classic arcade titles. In here we have Moon Patrol, 1980s classic. You go to an arcade, that specializes in retro games. They're gonna have a Moon Patrol machine. It was by Williams, but IRM is the one that originally made the game. That's how they got the game here. It's a classic game. So if you like the 80s style games, I see why people went gaga for this title. It's here. Space Harrier, classic Sega game. I love the original Space Harrier. It's here. It plays well. It's good. We got Burger Time series, the whole Burger Time series. We got Burger Time, Super Burger Time, and the Ice Cream Factory one. The only one I play is Burger Time. I own all 3. But Burger Time is a very addictive game. It's a very welcome addition. It gives you that 80s arcade nostalgia. I would never buy a Burger Time standalone machine because I have no desire. But as far as a multicade is concerned and legally owning it, this is a great way to play Burger Time. Dragon's Lair series. If you like those Laserdisc games, these are the best of the best. You got Dragon's Lair 1, Dragon's Lair 2, Space Ace. I love that it gives me the arrows because it gives me a chance. Without those arrows, I have no business playing this game. I don't have any nostalgia for these titles. I wouldn't buy a standalone arcade one up personally. But the fact that I have a multicade and I could have it and I could try it and enjoy it, and it gives me a way to enjoy it beyond what the regular arcade does because I wouldn't do very well at it. I really enjoy that inclusion here. I think for me it's better on this just for those reasons I just mentioned, right? So I'm glad that they're there. They're arcade classics. Is there anything I'm forgetting here? You could talk about Double Dragon, but Double Dragon is in the beat 'em up category. If you say it's in classic arcade, because it is 80s, it is kind of history. It's there. Everybody had a chance to buy them all. I could understand why they wouldn't want to renew it if they were short on funds because everybody already has it. It comes with the cabinet. They're there. They play like Double Dragon. I prefer the first one. The other two, I have them. I own them. But I think the first one plays the best for me. Makes the most sense. I'm sure they all play well and true to the arcade. It's hard to rank it because, if I was going to rank it as a console, the score would probably be my options are probably a 5 out of 10. If I rank it compared to a legacy cabinet, right there, you get 5 classic arcade games. And you can put it on a legacy cabinet, right? Because the legacy cabinet's going to have 15 titles. I guarantee you I can come up with 25 titles to be on this iiRcade to make it worth your money. Even if you bought nothing else and all you had were those titles, right? There's more arcade classics that are in the beat 'em up, like the Rastan. I just saw that behind me. That series is great too. But we're just talking about what's kind of in this category for the most part, and I kind of threw in Double Dragon. I would say if I was gonna just rank it as far as if this was competing against a legacy cabinet, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. And the only reason is because, like I said, if you're only gonna buy a handful of games for this, and this is what you're gonna have as a supplemental arcade in your arcade, you're not gonna buy all the games on the iiRcade. Is it there? It's there. Are the 5 titles that I just mentioned good? They're good. You're good to go. Okay. So let's talk about modern retro now. Okay, I need to go back real quick. Right now, I put this in a different perspective, right? So right now, with what I got on it, I got about 3 arcade one-up machines worth of stuff. I got the Dragon's Lair, all of it. I got the Burger Time cabinet, right? And if they ever made a Double Dragon, I got the Double Dragon cabinet. So, you know, it's all in perspective here. It's all in perspective. Like, as a console concept, I'd say the ranking's low. But as if you compare it to what you get, you know, on the other side, if you had to buy all these cabinets separate and you spent $1,500 on 3 cabinets, and you buy this thing on sale for like $300 or $400, and then you spend maybe, you know, $50 to $100 on games, you're way ahead with this. I gotta be honest. I'm being brutally honest in this review. And so, like, if you just want a multicade, you want the experience of those cabinets, but you don't care that it looks like the actual cabinet, I mean, this is the way to go. Hands down. Hands down. Okay? But, like, if I was buying a standalone cabinet, it'd be a fighting game cabinet. I'm not gonna lie. But we already know that about me. Alright, so back to modern retro. Okay, it's time to talk about modern retro, the category that you didn't know you wanted on a home arcade cabinet until iiRcade delivered on it, right? So there's a lot of games that are based on old arcade games that are a lot of fun to play, that the iiRcade gives you that opportunity to enjoy. Games like Galacticon, that replicate Joust and Defender and that kind of thing. Games like, let's see, Rangok Skies. That's an awesome modern style shooter. Great game. Fits really well here. Retro Mania Wrestling. We talked about it earlier. It's a modern retro game. It gives you that experience of playing WrestleFest. Correct? Yeah, right? Right. Okay. So, Donut Dodo. It gives you that modern retro game. It plays a lot. It reminds you a lot of a Donkey Kong. Stuff like that. It's just, it's a very addictive, has a great soundtrack. It's a fun game. Right behind me, you just saw Saturn Deluxe. It's basically a more modern version of Robotron. It's a very fun game to play on the cabinet, and it's free. You don't have to pay for the game. If you get an iiRcade, you could download Saturn Deluxe for free. Speaking of Saturn Deluxe, that twin stick shooter, you also have Galaxy Champions. This game I've been playing a lot more since I bought another iiRcade. I love Galaxy Champions. It's a Smash TV clone. It's, you know, kind of like a more modern version of Smash TV. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot more games to talk about, like Longhead, things like that. I can keep going, but Wizard of Walls is the one that's on here, right? So this is the category nobody asked for. It's the category that some people have made fun of and called the knockoff games. I don't think they're knockoff games. They're modern retro. They're an homage. They're fun, but nobody asked for this category. Let's be real, right? It's the category we didn't know we wanted. It supplements your iiRcade library. It gives you those arcade vibes in a different way. They fit on a candy cap style. It fits on on this kind of cabinet. I really like the category. It's a lot of fun. But like I said, gotta be honest. Nobody asked for it. If you're gonna give them a score for modern retro games, I definitely would give them 10 out of 10 because they're the only ones that have done it, right? So I do enjoy it. I enjoy the category. It's a nice bonus. You know, and it's an enjoyable experience. So I will give it that. I will give it its due. And we're on to one more category that I didn't talk about yet. Action. Okay, this has been a deep review, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring up all these games on screen that we're about to talk about, but let's talk about action. This is a very heavy category. It is definitely up there with the shooters as far as what's available on the iiRcade. So, you got games like Blood Brothers and Cabal. These are classics. I definitely gotta bring up one of these up on screen. Over here! And Blood Brothers Cabal, it has leaderboards, it plays online. You could definitely get into it with people in the community playing these games. Definitely very addictive, very fun. If you have an iiRcade, you have to get these games. Blood Brothers and Cabal, they're great. I want to mention Gun Force briefly. Gun Force is kind of the prequel to Metal Slug. It's made by iiRcade. The team that made Metal Slug was at iiRcade beforehand. Gun Force, great game. Gives you that classic run style games. We got Ninja Baseball Batman, Combat Tribe, some really good beat 'em ups. Warrior Blade, Golden Axe style game, Rastan series, just fantastic. I think Warrior Blade plays just as good as Revenge of Death Adder. It's a great addition to your iiRcade, a must buy for sure, as well as that Ninja Baseball Batman. That game is a top 10 beat 'em up of all time. It is definitely a cult classic. It's definitely underrated. You have to get Ninja Baseball Batman. Kung Fu Master and Vigilante fall under this category. Both of those games are phenomenal. I really like Vigilante. I remember playing this on the Turbo Graphics. Mayhem Brawler, another modern retro game. I should have mentioned that other category. That's a great game. I talked about it earlier in a previous video. Ninja Spirit, one of my favorite Turbo Graphics games and one of my favorite games. Like, I really love Ninja Spirit. This is the complete arcade experience. The visuals are better than the Turbo Graphics. It's definitely a hard game, a challenging game, a lot of fun. I am still on the leaderboards for it. I need to get back to it because I love Ninja Spirit. Shadow Force is a great beat 'em up. That's on here as well. We already mentioned the Rastan series. We talked about Outzone earlier. It's a Toplin run and gun phenomenal game. If you have an arcade, must buy this game. We talked about Combat Tribe. What a great one. Thunder Fox, that's a good one. Thunder Hoop 2. This was like a game I don't think was released in the US. It's like a Rambo style Contra game. And we played it on the Arcade Community Challenge a couple weeks ago. This game is fantastic. You must have Thunder Hoop 2. So action games, beat 'em ups, that kind of thing, a lot here. Very fun, very good collection. I'm very happy with it. I don't know if I can quite give it a 9. I think I'm going to give it like an 8, honestly. Like, it's really good. It's good. And it's definitely one of iiRcade's strong suits. So, there you go. Alright, so I didn't talk too much about platformers. Because I don't remember going to the arcade to play platformers. You know, there's a few that I played in the arcade. Even recently, I think I played Sonic the Hedgehog the arcade at Galloping Ghost with my kid. But like, that's not why I ever went to go to the arcade. Now, it's a bonus. It's on here. It's a bonus. So they have some good ones. I'm not a big fan of playing platformers, though. Toki, that was an arcade game. I know some people that love Toki, and they're so glad it was available on the iiRcade. And it made some... I met one person, it was a specific reason they bought an iiRcade. Okay, Wonder Boy is on here. That's kind of like a more modern version of that Sega Master System game. It was also on TurboGrafx. We got the Sydney Hunter series. That's fun to play. It's fun to be here. We got Dead Cells. You know, that's also a modern console game. Fun to have here. But again, you know, Montezuma's Revenge is fun. I like that game. Oddmar. A lot of people love Oddmar. Rising Hell. A lot of people love it, right? But I mean, honestly, I'm not here to play platformers. You know. And their selection of platformers is okay. It's not bad. I mean, if I was just going to grade it off the top of my head, I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. There's no big name headliners here. It's not a bad library. It's fun. It's there, right? So, there we go. Platformers. All right. And shooters, or not shooters, but like the light gun games, there's only 2 so far. They just got started. Let's hope there could be some more, because that's something else we got to talk about after I wrap up the games is the future of iiRcade, right? So, okay. So let's wrap up the games here, right? I'm going to kind of break this down because it's unfair for me just to give it an overall score. So I'm going to give you 3 different things, 3 different scenarios, because that's really what it is. There's different people, different strokes for different folks, right? So the first category is going to be like, if you love shmups and action games and or modern retro, okay? The category that's kind of its own thing. This is a high score. Okay, you'll love this cabinet. Buy it. 9 out of 10. Even if it closed down, it doesn't exist anymore, you buy the games you want, it's there, you get to keep them, and you get this awesome quality cabinet. Yeah, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. For shmups and action games and modern retro. Okay? Now, next score. How about we talk about, we just look at the overall library. So, like, if you're looking at everything that you get as a whole, right? You got these strong categories and these really weak categories. You know, when you get an Xbox or a PlayStation or a Switch, there's games in every category, a lot of them. And there's a lot of filler crap too, right? There's filler crap here, I'm not going to lie. But there's also probably a good 100 to 200 good games that are worth playing. But there's also that many games that you probably don't want to play. Okay? So I can't review it based on the bad games or based on the good games. You just look at the overall picture selection, and when you look at the good games, are there enough good games to make this a winning selection, right? So if I look at it overall, you take its weak points, you take its strengths. I mean, honestly, if I just totally be unbiased, it's somewhere like a 6 or a 7 for me, okay? I could justify either way. So I guess I'm going to have to go down the middle. I'm going to give this thing a 6.5 out of 10. Okay? I know that's harsh, but there's some real strong points that give it an A, and there's some real terrible points that give it an F. And honestly, you got to lean towards its weaknesses. The high stuff brings it up, okay? So the other thing I would say is if you compare it to what you get, like if you bought a legacy cabinet and you bought this, would I say you could get a really good value out of this? Yes, I do. I think you could buy a good handful of arcade classics on a bunch of other stuff that you might really enjoy. And you could probably get a good 25 games for about the same price you'd get a legacy cabinet if you get one of these machines on clearance. If you can't, and you spend $600, say, between the games and the cabinet, or $700, can you get that worth out of it? Yeah, but it's harder. It's harder. So if you can get the cabinet cheap and you could add these games to it, and you compare it, you know, oranges for oranges, you know, or apples for apples, or whatever. Could I rate it an 8 out of 10 in that case? Yeah, I could. All right. But overall, if you love shmups and actions games and or modern retro, get this thing. Or if you like community, get this thing. It's fun. The quality, great. Right? Quality's there. I don't need to talk about the quality anymore. It's the best quality machine. All right. Now, some people will argue that a little bit here or there, but it is. Okay. So there you have it on the games. I'm being honest, okay? I love the machine, though. I love it. I have a lot of fun. I play different things than I play on the 1-Ups. I play different things than I play on the Xbox or on my computer. And it's a general joy to have. Like, if I had to rank the overall cabinet and games and everything in general, for me, I give it an 8 out of 10. But the problem is, people are going to judge it on the games before they'll judge it on the quality. Okay? So take that for what it's worth. And when you decide whether or not you want to buy a clearance iiRcade or an iiRcade on Facebook Marketplace, because they're not making any more right now, keep that in mind. I think it's a great supplemental arcade. I do recommend it. And I have had nothing but a blast with it. And I will continue to have fun with it. And I will continue to enjoy the games I have. I have over 100 games, so I know what I'm talking about. Maybe not as much as Brad or Brooklyn, but I do. And it's a very good investment if you can get a good deal on it. And the library is fun enough. You have a good time. As far as the future of iiRcade, okay, The future of iiRcade is unknown, right? Because they're very quiet. It doesn't look pretty, okay? It doesn't look pretty. I mean, I don't, Double Dragon everybody owns, so maybe they don't want to spend the money because they're limited on funds and they want to invest in new stuff to get people hooked. But if you're going to sell more cabinets, that's a name people recognize, right? So are they going to sell more cabinets? Is that even something on the horizon? Whether they partner with somebody else who creates the cabinets to sell them, or whether they create them on their own. Because they keep mentioning they're going to go software. They're focusing more on software. So that's why when they said they were leaving their office and looking for another one, I thought, okay, maybe they're downsizing just to focus on software. It is possible that they just, don't have the money to continue. Who knows, right? So I'm rating this whole thing based on what we have. Let's just consider everything here be the complete story of the iiRcade. Anything more beyond this is going to be a bonus. I bought the thing for $2.99 with the mindset of I already owned like almost 100 games. Now I own like 107. But I bought it because I wanted to be able to play those games again. I thought it was a very awesome, amazing, quality cabinet. I had fun with people in the community playing games, and that's why I bought it again, okay? I fully knew that they don't know what their future is or that they may close, okay? I don't get the vibes they're totally closing. I get the vibes that they're adjusting things to figure out how they're going to continue business. And that's fine. That's fine. I hope they do. I hope they find a way. If they just make games and somebody else makes the cabinet, I'm cool with that too. Or if they make games on another platform, and they make money there so they could do more with this, that's cool too. There's a lot of infinite possibilities. But either way, I bought this knowing that this may be all I get. And I have over 100 games on it. I can't complain. It's a lot of fun. If you can get it, a good deal on it, Facebook Marketplace, or on one of their clearance sales before they run out, I do recommend it. I do think it's a great supplemental arcade. I try to be as unbiased and as fair as possible. And I definitely graded it with my experiences playing these games because I have a large portion of the library and I've played a lot of the games. Like I said, spent a lot of time on this, right? So I hope people that are like iiRcade crazy aren't mad at me. And I hope the people on the other side aren't mad at me for being too nice or something. I just tried to be real to me. Upfront, honest, open. Again, I love the iiRcade. I love playing the arcade with people. It's a fun cabinet. I love the shmups. I'm going to be real. And the action games are secondary to me. It's a nice break from fighting games. But I would not buy it for fighting games. Anyway, I hope that the future is there for iiRcade. If it's not, let's enjoy what we have. I am glad to have finalized this definitive review. Please subscribe to me if you haven't already and you want some more content. I will still be covering more iiRcade stuff. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of things I'm going to be doing. And please comment down below what you think of this review, what you think of the games, what you think of the iiRcade, that kind of thing. And I'll see you in the next one.